I know.
Spaghetti
My
monster.
mic is freaking out.
All right,
you have
and we should be live, ladies and gentlemen.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yay!
So
Hi.
wait. We have to give it the needed 20-second, 30-second delay because we got to make sure everything's good. Because the first 6 times, you know.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, we're good.
Keeping with tradition.
We good?
Is this number
Yay.
7?
This is number 7.
This is
Wow.
number 7, guys.
Lucky number 7.
Poor.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 7 of Guydeas. All right,
Yay.
so Guydeas, the podcast where we take your sweet, valuable time, crumble it into a tiny ball, and chuck it out the window. That's pretty much the rest of the story.
We're a waste of time.
Yeah, right. We're doing what YouTube is designed to do.
Yes, you're welcome.
All right, so introductions. To my left, if Lloyd's of London insured his salty language in his mouth, it'd be worth $1 billion, Mr. Ryan Smith.
Yeah, Ryan.
I think the goal is to try to get you to cuss at like the right camera angle at the right place at the
Or
right
flip
time.
off the camera again.
That did happen, right?
No, there we go. All right, quota met. All right, up next.
And he's fired.
Up next. If he was on the Titanic, you'd like him to draw you like one of his French girls, Mr. Andrew Atkinson.
Hey.
Yeah.
After that, this guy's favorite drug is in his name, Mr. Stephen Coker.
Hey.
I'm ready to go!
And of course, the brains of the operation, Mr. Drew, the Birdman Lowland. Hey.
I always pronounce my last name Lowland.
Is it Low? Wait.
It's Lowen.
Oh, it's Lowland.
It's Lopez.
Lopez. I am so sorry. I thought it was
okay.
Low. Anyways, it's Low.
We don't know each
Lowen.
other.
Lowen.
Lowen.
That's okay. I hear Llewellyn. I hear Lohan.
We just met 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Taking
No, so like my
Huh?
so my
Yeah,
last
talking to your mic.
so my last name
Can you not hear me?
in Spanish means meat, so I'd like, order food at somewhere and every now and then I'll hear Daniel
Probably
Carnes.
okay.
Daniel Carnes. So, anyway.
That's fine.
So, hey, Ryan,
Yes.
what's up, dude?
Hey, like things.
Things are
Yes,
are things,
absolutely.
Things
And
are great.
Also, drinks.
Drinks. What are we drinking?
Well, we are drinking 2 different brews from Odd 13 Brewing. Yeah, right here in not here, but in Lafayette, Colorado. We got the Villainous Vic and the what is that?
Admiral Abyss.
Yeah,
Chocolate milk
A
stout.
double hazy IPA and a chocolate milk stout.
Really cool.
So,
Well, should we
cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
All right, crack it. Cheers it over the equipment.
Yep, right here. Yeah, right, this will see all of them. Yeah. Oh god, that's the most terrifying thing in my life.
I'm a little late.
All right, so
Ooh, hazy's good.
I don't know if you're supposed
Whoa.
to mix drugs and alcohol.
Wow,
You don't do drugs.
that
What?
is
He doesn't
stout.
do drugs. I'm saving his career.
all right, so
That's actually really
It's
nice.
very like, are you drinking the IPA or are you
Yeah.
drinking the, yeah.
Yeah, I got
it's
the
like,
IPA.
it's almost,
Chocolatey.
it almost, it has like a mango flavor.
I chose
It's
the
really
wrong one.
citrusy.
No, this is good.
do you
You
got
don't like it?
the chocolate milk?
Yeah.
I probably should have went.
I think
with
it tastes like
Milk was a bad choice.
No, it tastes like coffee more to me. than
Yeah,
chocolate.
I do taste that coffee note.
Yeah, I think it's.
But no, it's still
Because
good.
I kind of like that sort of thing in a beer. Actually, yeah. Sorry, guys. I rarely buy a beer that's like less than 6%. So
Okay.
yeah.
Hey, that is good because all the beers I had were super wimpy. So we had a couple beers before this started. So
I didn't.
Just one and one shotgun.
yeah.
Nice.
Oops.
Okay.
All right. So you might be. Wait.
Wait, what?
Tonight. I almost.
Tonight.
There's probably
Almost did the
something
thing.
you've been asking yourselves. Drew, what are we talking about today?
Yeah. There's nothing else weird about this podcast at all.
What was
except
his
the
thing?
topic. What?
What?
Let's get to the topic.
Topic!
I know what you're talking about, Drew. Everybody just forget what Drew says.
Everyone shut up.
Get to the topic.
We were talking about conspiracy theories tonight. So
Much yeah.
we're going to talk about. We're all going to mention a few of our favorite conspiracy theories and kind of talk through these crazy ideas. I just want to preface from the very beginning here. None of us are conspiracy theorists.
Hey,
No.
hey,
No.
whoa,
Except-
whoa.
Disclaimer.
Whoa.
Put the
Do
fine
not
print
speak
underneath.
for me.
Okay, all right. We don't believe anything we're about to tell you. We think they're all crazy.
Well, I don't know. I mean, mine's has some pretty factual information and some like public record. But
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
So all of us except Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I mean to say that we're not crazy. We don't believe that like aliens are ruling the government or anything like that. So don't delete us immediately. We just want to talk about the
never
reality of conspiracy theories in our culture. Talk about how crazy some of them are, how true some of them sound,
Agree.
how sometimes truth is stranger than fiction,
Yeet.
and then share our thoughts on the cultural phenomenon of conspiracy theories. So
Way better.
that's what we got going on tonight. So who wants
Sweet.
to share their homework first?
We thought you were going to go
Did,
first.
did,
Oh,
did
am I
we
starting?
Want,
Yeah.
I guess so.
I can,
Alright.
I mean, if you want me
No,
to
no,
start,
I'm
mine's
sorry.
really dry and boring. Like it will probably make you guys fall asleep.
That's
Let's
good
do
because
yours
I'm really
next.
tired.
No,
Okay.
yeah, I want to sneak mine in because mine's pretty relevant right now. So
Agreed.
if you've spent any time on the internet in the past, couple months, you've probably seen reference to this conspiracy theory called QAnon. Okay? QAnon. And so
Can you spell that and use it in a sentence?
Q like quail, A like apple, N like November, O Oscar and November.
Okay.
And so QAnon.
My doctor said to use Q.
Let's just start from the beginning, because you're probably seeing hashtag QAnon, hashtag WW1GA, some weird hashtag Pizzagate, and don't know what any of that means because it's all connected with like pedophile stuff. So let's start at the beginning.
There's that
We're drinking
mouth that
beer.
I talked about.
We're drinking beer. Don't get mad at me for burping. It's okay.
Yeah. So
Come on, Ryan.
Sorry, Drew. Go ahead.
So, back a while ago on 4chan, which, by the way, if you ever go to 4chan, just don't. Hit the back button on your browser. It is the filth of the internet. 4chan is where internet culture starts, and it's also where all sacred things die.
Nice.
Because there's no rules to 4chan, so anything that can exist except on the dark web, if it's normal enough to not have to be on the dark web, it's on 4chan, right? So what happens is a lot of underground communities that get kicked out of things like Reddit and other forum boards find their home on 4chan. A good example of this is the radical alt-right, the actual alt-right, not the one that you hear everyone lumped into, but the actual group of neo-Nazi nationalists, which is, by the way, very small. They live on 4chan. And I don't know if that was in this group or where it was, but in 4chan, a couple months ago, this person whose username was anonymous that called themselves in their posts Q started posting. And they claimed to be an inside informant in the Donald Trump administration, saying that they have information on what Trump is up to. And what Trump is up to is a global conspiracy to take down the elite pedophile child sacrifice ring that's ruling the world and trying to turn us into one world government. Now, here's where it gets crazy. One of the best evidences for QAnon, just like any conspiracy theory, it starts with what's real. It starts with something that we have verified facts that we can all look up on Wikipedia and go, holy shit, that's real. So there was I think he was a Swedish fella. Oh man. No, he was from Belgium.
Oh, wait. Germany. France?
Oh man,
England.
what was his name?
Europe.
It's all the same.
Luxembourg.
Let me look it up real quick. So basically, Marc Dutroux. Okay, there's this gentleman named Marc Dutroux, and he's a convicted child molester and murderer. This is one of the best evidences for this conspiracy theory. And Marc Dutroux, he's from, let me just look real quick. I believe, Belgium. Okay, I was right. Marc Dutroux lived on government support of $1,600 US equivalent a month, but he had 7 houses. All of them were like $1 million houses. So something doesn't add up. And he also was arrested once in the late 80s and another time in the early 90s for child trafficking, child pornography, child molestation, and child murder. And all the people connected to this were supposedly, they couldn't find all these people, supposedly part of an underground satanic Gnostic cult that sacrificed these children they had sex with to Satan. The other thing that Mr. Dutroux claimed is that there were high-ranking government officials paying him to capture these children, and then they would come, do horrible things to them in his basement of one of his houses.
I feel like South Park made fun of this.
Yeah, they probably did. So, anyways, the thing is, there were actual very successful government officials and businessmen in Belgium and outside of Belgium that were caught up in this, and so this is where they use as the evidence of a real kind of pedophile ring that's in real life that they connect to QAnon. Okay, now let's fast forward from the 90s with Mark Dutroux into Jeff Epstein. Everyone knows Epstein. There's some really sketchy stuff going on with Epstein, right? Dude has a bunch of money. No one knows what he does. And we know that he traffics children. He has an island that he keeps them in. And there's a bunch of people flying to this island that are very powerful. Bill Clinton, I believe.
Bill Gates, wasn't he?
Bill Gates was on the flight records a couple times. Prince, one of the princes.
Andrew.
Prince Andrew.
Not Prince.
Oh.
Not
Prince?
the artist formerly known
Prince
as...
Prince.
No, Prince Andrew.
So now enter Jeffrey Epstein, who we know... Same thing. Jeffrey Epstein, we know was a convicted child molester. We probably think murdered some of these kids because they disappeared. We know a lot of famous people were on his planes. So this is where the conspiracy really takes its ground. QAnon said that almost every elite, every progressive elite in the world, is in on this child sacrifice sex cult. That's why Bill Clinton's and Jeff Epstein's flight logs and government officials in Belgium near one of the UN headquarters, by the way, are all caught up with Mark Dutroux. And so then this official starts releasing things that actually happen. And so everyone's like, oh my God, this is real. One of the things that they talked about too that is spurious and probably did not happen, has been mostly debunked, is Pizzagate. And there's this place called Comet Pizza, I think it's in like the DC metro area, where there was a lot of people who escaped from one of Epstein's pedophile rings, claims that they were kidnapped from, and there's a lot of famous people who go to this pizza place. So again, this is a touch point of reality. A lot of famous people go to this pizza place. Girl that we know Epstein abducted was there. Pizzagate. And then they connect it to this whole QAnon conspiracy theory. That's where the evidence ends. And so, just like any conspiracy theory I think we're going to talk about tonight, there's some real stuff that's real sketchy, Mark Dutroux and Jeff Epstein. And then there's some stuff that they claim to be true based on that has no grounding, no facts. And that's, basically that there's this worldwide globalist conspiracy where they steal children and have sex with them and then sacrifice them to Satan. And that Trump is somehow the leader taking this on, headstrong, to deconstruct and destroy the globalist, elitist pedophile ring.
Wasn't there something that you mentioned, I think we were talking earlier about how, Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of one of his hotels because he was hitting on a 14-year-old or something?
Yes. So this is why it's interesting, because it's there's no evidence to believe that it's some global satanic conspiracy, right? However, there were pictures of Trump with Epstein, and later, all of the girls that were in those pictures claimed that Trump didn't do anything, but that other people did, and that all the pictures of Trump were allegedly at Mar-a-Lago, which is his golf club. Whereas we know other famous people that have pictures of Epstein, some of them are on his jet, some of them are on his island, and that's very damning to have a picture on a pedophile island, right? And then supposedly there's sources that say that Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, and that was the end of their interaction. So then QAnon takes this and says, see, he's our savior. I think what's interesting about this is it goes beyond just liking Trump for his policy, liking Trump for his political views, and it almost turns him into this quasi-savior figure where he's redeeming the world from this pedophile cult sex ring.
Sure. It's like they're trying to make him look like he's doing more than Christine Kane, 821, or all these other anti-slavery,
right, or
sex
Ashton
traffic.
Kutcher, or anybody who's actually taking a stand against these things.
He's Jesus.
Well,
pretty much.
It is the thing is that's interesting though is he actually has invested the most money in freeing sex slaves in any presidency.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what's interesting about it is all of it, you know what I mean? And this is how
he's
these things
invested
work.
in organizations who do so? He's a contributor
and
to
giving
them?
the government funding and funding initiatives in the government to fight and counteract these things.
Oh, cool.
But so this is what fuels the conspiracy theory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting about this one, I almost didn't want to do this one, is it's kind of real life unfolding, whereas I think a lot of what we're talking about has already happened for the most part and is done and is just what people are thinking about events that have already happened. Whereas QAnon is interesting because it's a live, unfolding conspiracy theory that changes every day. I mean, this guy still posts. This Q person,
Yeah.
he still posts.
I wonder
so.
I wonder if he's like smart enough to use like a VPN and mask his IP address and try to
Good
like.
question.
Probably believe
no,
not.
I-
I'm
I
just.
think
I'm
so.
like, because like, okay, if
Guessing
you post something on the internet, like there has to be some way to track where that data came from.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you can probably block it just as easily.
Well, that's
Well,
why
that's where the
our
VPN
sponsors at ExpressVPN. I'm just kidding. We don't have sponsors.
Today we're sponsored
Your
by
logo.
Toast. That was Sam
Hey,
Crowder's
Drew.
idea.
Drew. Your logo right here.
I thought we were supposed to bring
So,
you
anyways, that's QAnon.
That's like super
It's
crazy.
pretty interesting, actually.
It's really interesting, and like I said, it's kind of like every conspiracy theory. It starts with a lot of evidence that is normal and everyone should accept.
Sure.
Mark Dutroux, Jeff Epstein, Trump investing in anti-sex trafficking stuff, and we know that a lot of global powerful people were connected with Epstein and or Dutroux.
Right.
Sure.
But the connection that you can't make, there's no evidence for it, is a complete radical conspiratorial jump, is that there's some sort of satanic sex cult involving all these people, and that Trump's campaign is unfolding it from the get-go.
I find
It's all
it
wrapped
funny
up in global
how like a
politics.
good chunk of these like conspiracy theories either lead back to like Satanism or like anti-Semitic and like all these weird like something like almost religious or has to do with
Right.
like the Israelites.
Yeah,
Right.
for
Jews.
sure.
You're right.
The
And
occult.
that's actually that's something that I'll touch on
Okay,
later.
We'll,
when
we'll save for the meeting
yeah.
for later.
But
Yeah.
who's next? Who's
I'll go next.
QAnon.
So mine's kind of boring.
So
It's some
sleep time.
sleep time.
His was the
Nap time.
knock you out. Yours is the nap time.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay, so one of my favorite conspiracy theorists is G. Edward Griffin, and a lot of my source material comes from his book called "The Creature from Jekyll Island." So, for those of you who do not know, I work in the finance industry, and of course, I'm a sucker for all things economics and finance and history of it and where it came from and how it works and all that jazz. So, I'm going to start with a quote from President Andrew Jackson. And he says, ever since I've read the history of the South Sea bubble, I have been afraid of banks. And so Jekyll Island, you think it would be some kind of like sequel to like Jurassic Park or something. What it actually is, Jekyll Island is an actual place off the coast of Georgia. And back in like the Panic of 1907, you remember It's a Wonderful Life.
Mm-hmm.
You had the scene where George and Mary get married, and then there's a run on the banks, and everyone's in front of the Bailey loan, and there's no money. So basically, there was the Panic of 1907, and then there was several instances before that where basically the banks didn't have the capital to meet the obligations of whoever had their money at the bank. So what ended up happening was basically these bankers, instead of sitting there thinking like, oh, I hope the government doesn't regulate us, they basically were smart enough to take a preemptive strike at this. So this is where the Federal Reserve System or the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 come into play. So basically in Jekyll Island in Georgia, that's basically was back in those days owned by like the richest people of basically all of the United States. And so it was basically their winter home. And so what ended up happening in 1910, there was there were 7 guys. There were 7 guys that met, had a secret like meeting in this one place on Jekyll Island. And basically, like, they were told to use only first names. Some of them used aliases. They took separate train cars. They agreed like we should never pretend. We should pretend not to know each other. There was an instance where one of the guys borrowed a shotgun from somebody, and in case if a reporter came up to him and said, "Hey, what are you doing here?" he would say, "Oh, I'm going to go duck hunting." But come to find out, that guy's biography, come to find out that he never shot a gun in his life. Mm-hmm. So basically these guys met, very secret in this one place in Jekyll Island. I'll just give you the list. So Senator Nelson Ulrich, who was a Republican majority whip in the Senate, and fun fact, he was J.D. Rockefeller Jr.'s father-in-law, who had strong ties to banking. And then after that, you had Abram Piet Andrew, who was the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury and who was prominent in banking circles. Henry Davison represented the actual living, breathing J.P. Morgan, like 100 years ago. Frank Vanderlip, who was the president of National City Bank, which is now Citibank, as you can imagine, which was the largest and most powerful bank in the United States at the time. You had Paul Warburg, who was a German-born international banker, and at the time he was one of the most richest men in the world. Charles Norton, who was the president of National Bank of New York, one of the big boys, essentially, and Benjamin Strong, who was the head of J.P. Morgan's Bankers Trust Company. So you had all this like financial chaos going on in the banking industry, and then basically what they did is that they had the secret meeting of like the biggest, baddest bankers of them all, and they basically said, okay, we're going to draft, with Senator Ulrich's help, draft a bill that basically gives central banks, like basically bankers, undemocratically electoral power and control of our currency. So it's like basically how the central banking system came about was creating the Federal Reserve Act and drafting that law that gave bankers self-regulating, self-authoritative power over our money, which is absolute. Like you would imagine, like this is totally laced with conflicts of interest, and like no one in their right mind would ever pass it. But it gets more interesting. So basically, these guys drafted this bill, found a couple Democrats to present it to Congress, and they went on public record because they figure, the average Joe is going to read the newspaper. They basically went on record and said, oh, this is like the most horrible thing in the world. This is totally going to screw us over as bankers. And the average Joe would sit there and like, okay, well, this is like, this is probably really good. So then they went ahead and passed it, which then turned into this whole giant ugly animal. So G. Edward Griffin kind of sums up the Federal Reserve as 7 things. He says it's unable to accomplish its stated objectives. It's a cartel. It's also known as the supreme instrument of usury. Generates the most unfair tax. It encourages war. It destabilizes the economy, and it's an instrument of totalitarianism. So, but here's the crazy thing. So one of the things that he points out, and what's funny is that the government's totally in on this too. So the reason why the government would be in on it is because they can spend more money, and basically spend more money than they take in from tax revenue, and so that way they can basically indirectly tax the people. So instead of coming to us and saying, okay, we're going to raise your taxes $3,000, there would be a revolt. There'd be like, guys getting their heads cut off. Mm-hmm. So then now, because they partner with the Federal Reserve System, that's basically able to make money out of nothing and charge people interest on that, non-existent money. They're able to, so they're able to basically spend more money than they actually have without directly taxing the people. And so inflation is what's also known as the invisible tax. And so now here's kind of where, and just that knowledge alone of how the Federal Reserve System works and how it came about, like it kind of makes you sit there and think, okay, like doing taxes or budgeting or something really stupid easy with money. Why don't they teach this in schools? Mm-hmm. Like why don't they teach people how to invest? You know what I mean? So basically it's like we have this inflationary based financial system. So I know I'm done.
So wait, I had a question though.
What's that?
And maybe I totally missed it. What was the point, I guess, about the Andrew Jackson quote that you shared at the beginning?
Oh, just basically like how bankers are, well, just basically like the financial system that we have now is very similar to what we have back in Europe. Okay. And that, well, actually I take that back. Basically like he mentions this, the sea bubble. Uh-huh. So whenever you have basically when money's not handled correctly, or when the banks can't meet so if I put my money at a bank, well, they're going to be lending that money out. And so if they lend the money out, but then people can't pay back the interest or that money back, then they don't have that money anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's and that's when you get into asset bubbles and you get into like basically economic disasters. that come and go with time, like the 2008 financial crisis. That was primarily the mortgage bubble.
Okay.
So it's just interesting how like all the different like financial. It's just different. It's just interesting how the whole financial system was set up,
Yeah.
like way back early in the day,
Okay.
and just kind of seeing what's happening now.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but there's a really good YouTube video with
So
G.
what's-
Edward Edwin.
So the conspiracy is that they just set it up to like basically help themselves.
Basically, that's it. That's essentially it. They're able to make profit off of. It's basically a way to, because like one of the reasons why the people wanted regulation on the banks was primarily because they felt it was called the wealth trust or something like that, where it was basically a word that was used to describe all the financial power and wealth in New York. So the J.P. Morgans, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, all these big prominent families. So basically what they were able to do was structure the system in a way where they can maintain that power, but instead of having all these different banks compete against each other, they just created a cartel with our money. So so a cartel at the end of the day is like, you are in this area, I'm in this area. You have drug cartels, you have banana cartels, you have avocado cartels, you got all these different cartels. Cartels are just a coalition of organizations that come together and agree not to compete with each other.
I want to be in the avocado cartel.
Oh yeah, I totally would be too.
I love avocados. Avocados are Mexico.
I'm pretty
I
sure there's
always heard that as abugados.
abogados.
Abugados. Abugados from Mexico.
I don't know. I guess we can ask, but that's my thing.
I've always wondered why
It's interesting.
schools don't teach you anything important.
But seriously, like think of it this way: like you have
That's going to be a quote from Steven.
why do schools not teach you anything? Well,
liberal arts.
That's another thing. The math that they teach in schools was like from the Industrial Revolution. College
The
professors.
entire school system is.
Oh, it's very true. Well, I'm just specifically looking at math because if you take, when the
2
school
plus 2 equals 5.
Yeah, right.
I smell
Well,
another
every college
podcast.
every college math professor will tell you that like
Oh, I
high
have
school
things to say
graduates
about
are
that.
so underprepared.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right.
Unless
So,
you're
that's me.
homeschooled, right?
Does anyone have any thoughts on Daniels? There's some comments I want to address in here.
What's up?
No.
Let's hear him.
Okay,
Comments,
so
yeah.
so people are saying the hats are very fun.
What hats?
Did anyone take their
What
hats,
hats?
off while I was peeing?
What hats?
No.
I
What hats?
I had sweat.
Oh. They said put it
These-
back on.
I
and
still
work.
don't
They said,
understand what
don't
hat
let
you're
them
talking
get your
about.
brain stuff. I'm nervous for you.
Yeah, who said that?
These lights are
we don't
really
know.
hot.
Thoughts?
Wow.
I don't
Maybe
know.
we don't know.
And then setting
Yay,
things
new
down
people.
says, what are your thoughts on chemtrails? So
Chemtrails.
no one knows about chemtrails?
It sounds familiar, but
All right, so
Something about planes.
Is that the plane
Right.
thing with the?
Right.
Yeah, they actually.
So the idea behind chemtrails
Yeah.
is that when you guys have looked up in the air and you see the jet streams left by planes,
Yeah.
right? And they last for a long time.
Country.
It's a burn off of condensation and gasoline is really what it is. The chemtrails conspiracy believes that those are actually government planes doing so to control weather patterns.
I think my grandma was telling me about that.
Yeah.
Oh, like the giant harp?
Yes, yeah. It's connected to that. It's connected to that.
AARP.
Uh-huh.
Right? Isn't that what it is? Harp,
Right. And
H-A-A-R-P.
there's always a motive. I forget what the
Something-
motive of the government to do
It's-
this is, but there's a motive, and I don't know.
Association.
I don't think we know
Let me
enough
see.
American
about.
Association
Well, I don't,
of
it sounds like we
Retired
don't
Persons.
knew
Yes.
enough about it to really talk about it.
AARP. I finally got my AARP card.
You're that old. You're the heck, man.
Harp.
Chemtrails. I don't know.
Conspiracy.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's basically what chemtrails is.
Harp.
Again, I don't believe in.
Okay. HAARP. High frequency active auroral research program.
Yeah.
Auroral.
So they were researching this stuff, right? And I think they were just doing it for like comms and radar and stuff. But the conspiracy
is that they're controlling the
is that they're
weather.
controlling the weather. And that's what's causing global warming. I think. I don't know.
Probably.
Climate change?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That's why the polar bears are dying?
Does that explain why
are
Montrose
they?
is an ashtray? Like,
Oh man.
No, that's fires.
That's fires. Controlled by the government.
If
Turning the frogs
oh.
gay.
my friend Hayden says the conspiracy of fluoride in the water supply for mind control. Ooh. So I'm curious, Hayden, if you can comment real quick. Is that something where you think that fluoride somehow
Which direction?
changes our mind, or like what's
Well,
what's
which
the-
direction does it control your mind? Like, who's in charge of it? So what would the thought be?
Ooh.
Right? Because everyone says it is, but they're damn rules. But like everyone's like, it controls your mind, but to think what? Like,
I'm just glad we have these
what hats?
opinions.
Hats.
We're not wearing anything on our heads.
Yep.
No.
I don't know what
All right, who's
anybody's
next?
thinking about that.
Right.
Is it me? Are we just going
go
like
for
full
it.
circle?
Sure. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about the reptile people. You know,
Yes, dude.
the
I'm
lizard,
so
the lizard people, I guess, is more commonly what it's referred to as. But it's this really strange conspiracy that a while back somebody started. I think it generated from a British guy who was insistent that the Queen was a lizard alien who had, like, a shape-shifting lizard alien who had adopted the form of a human being, like, to gain control of the government and to gain influence in Britain. Nice. And from
Sounds
there,
legit.
it's, like, gone off the rails. It's become, like, all these ridiculous things about people talking about, like, an alien species who's infiltrated our planet to take control and to, you know, basically make it more advantageous for them to occupy. And from there, like, people have made lists of people who have, you know, alleged lizard qualities, among whom are Barack Obama, Donald Rumsfeld, Madonna, Katy Perry, Bill Clinton, Angelina Jolie.
Madonna doesn't hide it very well.
No, she doesn't.
Wow.
Gonna get
Dang.
sued from Madonna. But
I'm gonna put up a picture of it real quick.
Of Madonna?
Of the lizard.
Don't do that. Do not scare our people away.
please do.
This is the picture, just so you guys can see
It's a great
too.
picture.
Oh yeah,
Dang.
it's hilarious. I mean, like,
That's like something
This-
you'd
this
expect to
one's a
see
little
on
more
Babylon
ridiculous.
B or something.
exactly. When
Men in
I was
Black.
hearing, like, you
Men in
guys,
Black.
like, especially Drew saying, like, most conspiracy theories have, like, a basis in truth. It's like, well, not really. Like,
Really?
if you look into this one a decent bit, you can find videos of, like, people in interviews, like important political figures in interviews, whose eyes, like, become really strange. Like, if you're paying attention, if you're really looking for it, it's almost like this confirmation bias thing. Like, when you played songs backwards, you could hear words like "Stairway to Heaven."
Satan.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
666.
like when it's the power of suggestion. When you think you're seeing something, you are. So people have these videos posted of, like, they get stressed and then you see their eyes blink from the sides, like Men in Black style. You know,
Like this. Oh wait, sorry, wrong.
Guydeas.
do you have one?
Guydeas.
Do you have a video? Do you have a video of it?
I can't play video through
Oh,
here really
bummer.
easily.
There's a
Yeah.
picture of
Not
Barack
really.
Obama.
Darn.
Stop showing them Madonna.
I want to see Madonna.
You don't. Nobody wants to see.
Nobody wants to
Oh,
see
yeah.
Madonna.
Is she a lizard? Wait, are you like just showing a genuine picture of Madonna, or is
I'm
it like
it's a
showing
lizard.
this picture.
Looks like
oh, like
Barack
is it
Obama.
totally photoshopped? Oh, yeah, that's,
Well,
you already
yes,
saw that one.
No,
Yeah.
it's not photoshopped. He's
No,
a lizard
it's
person.
It says real, Daniel.
You should.
Why do you
Yeah,
not believe it?
Daniel.
You should show the picture of
I'm
Madonna
sorry.
in a bubble bath. It's creepy.
I'm not sure.
Okay, this is a
She sang to us.
this is a PG-13 show.
No, it is not.
Okay. Reining
Coming
things
from a
back
guy
in.
with balls on his
Reining
head.
things back in. I mean, like, honestly, the reason I was
so
drawn to
lizard
this
people.
conspiracy theory is because I love the movie They Live. Like, John Carpenter, it's so wonderful. Like, it's definitely hilarious and it's bad, and I'm a huge fan of WWE and Roddy Piper, and, like, they're just some
Piper.
kick-ass quotes from it. I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Perfect. Beautiful. And then it has, like, one of the best street brawl fight scenes of any movie I've ever seen, which we were
Because
talking
Mr.
about earlier.
Piper himself declared a real street fight.
And I believe it. It looks brutal. Like, it looks like they're actually hitting each other. But
But he's also in the WWE. or
right,
F,
so they're
and
pretty.
they also
they're
say
pretty
that
good
is
about
real.
kayfabe. Well, they're pretty good about kayfabe.
Kayfabe?
Yeah, it's a WWE thing, like that you actually fake the response as well, and that you act like you're hurt,
Oh yes.
like, and that you aren't breaking face.
Like I
even
got
when you
hit by
are
a
hurt.
chair in the head, but I'm still fine.
No,
my brain still works.
Exactly.
Okay.
Actually, that is part of kayfabe, that you act okay when you're really not, because a lot of the time in the WWE
Yeah.
they're really not. But I love that movie. It was one of the ones I watched when I was pretty young, and I thought it was a really fun idea. It's these aliens. They call them the blue aliens that infiltrate Earth and have taken over basically the 1%, the government, and they're terraforming Earth's atmosphere. They're putting subliminal messaging in like all our advertising and basically saying money is your god, you know, all these different things. I think it's a really funny, interesting thing, but I don't give it any credence. And jumping back to something that you did say, jumping back to something that you said, like a lot of times these conspiracy theories get molded into like blaming somebody else. And unfortunately, a lot of people have taken this conspiracy to be like, well, it's just the Jews. Like, it's this anti-Semitic thing. And that is actually really unfortunate.
Why do they all go anti-Semitic? They all...
Because it's an easy target. Like, it's easy to attack the Jews. And it's really sad. Like, so, like, I want to give a disclaimer. I'm not attacking the Jews. This is not an anti-Semitic claim. I think it's funny because I like John Carpenter's They Live. And I think it's interesting to think about, like, some people actually believe that lizard aliens have overtaken the government.
Plus it's real.
Plus, it's real.
The truth is
100% real.
100%.
Find the truth.
It's real.
It's
It's
available.
absolutely real. Look at it.
If any of
You
these
can see the picture of
conspiracy
it.
theories
It's
are real, I
fake
hope
news.
it's the
not real.
lizard people. That'd be
Alright.
awesome.
Yeah. So that's
I was
that's
putting the
that.
picture up.
Crab people.
That's it.
Crab.
That's it.
people.
All right, and that moves us on to any thoughts on
Thoughts?
Ryan's?
That's on lizard people.
It's
I have a lot.
definitely out there. I don't
It's
know.
very cold-blooded.
I want to know, like,
Ew.
what kind of lizards?
This kind, Andrew.
Chameleons?
Right here.
We're talking, like,
I mean, like,
gecko type deal?
it evolves from a different
Depends.
standpoint. Like people take a lot of details. Like it's this alien species that's come from the Draconis constellation or whatever. Like some people believe that they have wings that are retractable. Like all these different things.
Is it
So-
religious in any way?
Oh my
not
gosh!
really.
12 million people believe this.
Oh.
Supposedly,
That's not
yeah.
that many,
I was
though.
gonna say 12 million
Are you
people
talking
watching.
about like
In
lizard
pers-
Jesus or
Like
Well,
something
no,
like-
it's
so-
something like
I was
something like
curious.
4% of the
Wait, there's gotta
population
be a
of
phone.
America. I
So
believe.
my
4%.
so my point was
Yes.
there's lizard
There is.
There's a picture of lizard Jesus.
Please show that.
Can we please see this?
Oh my Jesus. God.
Will I get in trouble? Is this copyright?
The Pope's calling. He says he wants to talk to you.
How did you get this picture of me, son?
I'm trying to download it.
So, but my actual question to that is, like, is it based off like lizard? Like, so snake is usually associated with the devil.
Oh.
So I was curious if there was any religious tone to it, or if
Honestly, it does tend to give that overarching narrative because a lot
Why
of the
lizards?
idea is that they've been infiltrating our planet and impregnating our women. Like
that's why I'm single. Because all the lizards are taking the women.
seriously. No, but
You
like,
stupid girls, you missing out here. Getting impregnated by
all right.
lizards.
if you're looking in
Demonetized.
Lizard Jesus.
yeah, lizard Jesus.
Lizard Jesus.
Oh,
The
that's
first
horrible.
picture didn't work.
That's so dumb. But you're not wrong, actually. There are some strange parallels, like even just looking into the story of Adam and Eve, like there's this strange sort of implication that the snake wants to, have Eve for his own. Like, so I could understand, like,
He wants to slither in.
Is that a Harry Potter joke?
No, so there was a real belief that when okay, I can comment on this because David uses the phrase "I do not yet know good and evil" as a sexual innuendo because that's what it was in Judaism for a long time.
Really?
Was he's not old enough to know good and evil was an innuendo for he's not old enough to have had sex yet. So David says this in the scriptures.
Oh.
So a lot of people reading this
The snake is
then-
his penis.
They then reinterpreted Genesis, the fall of man, as Eve eating the fruit, having sex with the serpent. And then the conspiracy gets really crazy because it says that Cain is actually a son of Satan. And Abel was a son of Adam and Eve. And then Seth is the new son. And so then the Nephilim were those people that were the sons of Satan and Eve.
Well, that
Holy
would
crap.
make, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, like, that would actually make a lot more sense.
Yeah, but it's
Because then you're talking about demons, like, sleeping with, like, the daughters of Eve, and
well, this is like really
that gets
obscure
weird.
midrash commentary, like, right? Like, there
It's
were
not
some
even mid-back
Jews.
commentary.
Okay.
This is like medieval fringe interpretation of non-authoritative Christians.
Oh, we'll get back
This
to
is
the,
not
we'll
people
get back
who
to
had
Christian.
Christians that were authoritative. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah,
Now
don't
there
you
is
worry.
the theory in some people since there's two creation narratives, there's Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are different stories. Anyone with a brain can understand that, right? They're different accounts.
What?
They are.
What?
They're different accounts. Some people took the woman created in Genesis 1, since it doesn't name her, they thought she was a different woman than Eve.
Oh yeah, Lilith.
And so Lilith, there's this whole theory about the vampires being
Adam
Lilith.
and Lilith.
Yeah,
Well, that's where Satanism
It doesn't
is it?
rhyme.
Satanism,
Right.
where Lilith is actually the
right.
rightful heir, but was kind of like
Why haven't I heard
Kinda
about
like-
this before?
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Lily?
Because it's crazy.
Abram
It's bullcrap.
and his son.
That's why
Well,
I've
it's the
never
same
heard
as
about it.
Abram's son, like the.
Right.
Frasier's
But, yeah.
girlfriend's name on Frasier.
Well,
Lilith.
she is the daughter of Satan,
Wow.
Andrew. I don't know what
She wasn't a
yeah,
nice
okay.
person.
Well, it explains
All right,
why they chose that name
anyways,
for
A lot of
her.
things are falling together.
Explains why nobody
So
ever likes that
That's
name.
a crazy
Bible
one. 'Cause,
theories.
Lilith.
yeah. Anyways.
No, so it's the same
there's,
lady.
There's weird
is what you're
layers to
saying?
it.
But people take it as two different ladies.
Right.
Because it's actually one story, but they're treating it as two stories, or it's actually two stories, but
It's
people,
actually two stories.
but it's the same lady.
Genesis 1 has a different purpose than Genesis 2, so it's actually two
This is just like
separate
a
accounts.
continuation.
What did I miss?
Right.
Nothing.
Isn't it just a continuation of the
Not
same
sure when you
story?
left.
Well, yeah, but like
I'm a
they
ninja.
it starts over. Like if you read Genesis 2,
Genesis
like,
1
starts-
end.
I'll read it.
Genesis
Yeah,
2
read it. You'll see. But
the
like
beginning.
it's not problematic. But they're talking about the same people, but they're doing it for different reasons.
Okay.
Is what's actually happening. But
Nice.
some medievalists were like, there was a girl named Lilith, and I bet she was a vampire. And then some
Nice.
other people
But her
were
name
like,
is never
I bet
mentioned.
that snake totally banged Eve, and that's where all the demons came from. It's not. What happened. It's not. Can confirm. Not what happened.
Can confirm.
Can confirm, bud. All right.
So
who's
lizard.
next?
So lizard people. Huh? I think I'm up.
Yes.
So I was going to do the one about the DIA, which is the Denver International Airport.
yeah.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories about that.
I'll hunt for photos of that.
There's
a
like
lot of crazy things.
five. I mean, there's a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
They all kind of tie in together. Though.
I know there's one about the Freemasons, and then there's like a
Freemasons,
Yeah.
kind of New World Order stuff. But it's weird. Kind of the reason why it started in the first place was because back in the day when DIA was being built, it turns out it was over a year. Like the construction process was delayed by over a year. It was supposed to, and they were $2 billion over budget, which was a lot. It was built in 1995, or that's when it was open. So that seems like a lot of money for anything, but especially back then.
back in that
Back in 1995.
adjusting for inflation. Yeah,
And then the other deal is that it's huge. It's the airport itself. Like it's actually bigger than Manhattan Island. It covers.
Wow.
It's the largest airport in the United States by area.
Really?
It covers 53 square miles.
Dude, it's out in the middle of nowhere.
It's out-
weird.
well,
because
in-
like Denver,
yeah.
like most airports, they're like, oh, here's the city. Let's put the airport in the middle of it.
Yep.
Denver's like, let's put it way.
So, but the point, I think, what the reasoning for that was because the old airport, Stapleton, which I lived in Denver at the time when Stapleton was still a thing. Obviously, I was young. I was too young to realize it was a crappy airport. But they built the runways; they were super narrow, and so like especially if there was bad weather, you couldn't really have multiple flights like landing at the same time.
wow.
Because I think they were afraid like the ice would like force them to like go into the other one on the other
Well,
runway.
and they predicted growth.
And they predicted growth, right?
They assumed right.
Because it's also one of it's not just the biggest; it's also like one of the busiest. Also,
They
But,
make fun of
um,
it, and if you ever played Madden,
yeah.
they make fun of Denver whenever you go play in Mile High. They'll actually make fun of Denver. The DIA, they'll go, whose idea was it to put an airport out and all the way out in the middle of nowhere?
No, it
There
is-
is nothing to do out
It's
there.
funny. Like if you ever fly into DIA, you're like, oh, we'll just take a quick little taxi ride into the city. No, it's like
It's like
$40 minutes away.
$150
yeah.
taxi
I,
ride.
I don't know. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
those toll roads, man.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
You don't have to
the
do the
tram
toll
that
road.
goes in between each terminal.
Yeah, but the
like,
toll
Right.
roads are
why
kinda
would you
nice.
bottleneck it like that? That's my
Right.
thing.
So okay, so getting back to the thing, the first thing, and it goes back to the runway design. It's really funny if you actually take a look at like aerial photographs of the runways.
You find swastikas.
You find swastikas.
Wait,
If
I
you-
guessed that right?
If you look hard enough, it's
Holy crap!
not really.
I am not kidding you. I
It
totally
is-
just guessed it.
It kind of looks like a swastika.
Shot in the dark.
It's like, okay, it's probably like a really good design. Like
Yeah.
they don't have problems where the airplanes are probably going to crash into each other if you have multiple flights landing at the same time.
Yeah.
Say
But-
that one.
Yeah, if you look hard, it kind of looks like a swastika. Maybe they should have thought that one out a little bit more.
Okay. So swastika.
How do you think
So
that one's
swastikas.
out?
I'm just happy I guessed it right.
So like, I don't know, think
How
of
do
a
you-
different shape. I don't know.
Well,
Don't
if it's,
make it a
the,
swastika.
if it's backwards from a swastika, it's like the Native American sign for peace.
So the other one, and you said the Freemasons, right?
Mhm.
So this one is.
I almost joined the Freemasons.
Did you really?
Bullet dodged.
Interesting.
Yep, I dodged.
I own Mason.
So the reason why the Freemasons are brought up in connection with DIA is because they actually gave a lot of money to the price of this, which they do. The Freemasons are actually, they have a pretty large
I'm pulling
presence
I'm
in
pulling up
Colorado,
images for the viewers.
and so what? So in Colorado, the Freemasons, they have a pretty large presence,
Okay.
and they've done this in the past where they're like, "Hey, you're building a large scale construction. Here's some money." It's not out of the ordinary at all. And what they did though at DIA, there's they put a time capsule in, and it doesn't help is that only a few people actually I think know exactly what's in the time capsule.
Oh, really?
They were like, well, there's this, and this, but they didn't say like everything.
Right.
And eventually, hopefully, we can look. Apparently, it's going to be opened in 2094. But at the dedication site for the time capsule,
74 years, yeah.
well, I think it's because it was meant to be open 100 years after it was dedicated. So
I hope
at
there's nothing in it.
the capstone, there's like this little dedication plaque, and on the plaque has
I
like
have
the
a picture of it.
the Freemason logo or imagery or whatever you want to
Okay.
call it. And so everybody's like, "Oh, what's
That's
the deal with the Freemasons?"
Yep.
Yeah.
Pop that picture
Every
up.
now and
Where's
then,
the
like
plaque?
every now and then, I'll go to a building and then they'll have like some kind of like plaque looking thing on the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like, the first cornerstone was dedicated by the first Masons, and it's like,
You're like, "What?"
okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff that
Yeah.
Once again,
like
plaque.
automatically gets associated with Freemasons. The one thing I think that a lot of people automatically go to is there's like a ton of underground tunnels under DIA,
Ooh, really?
which is actually legit.
I didn't hear about that.
So yeah, they have like miles and miles and miles and miles of tunnels. But in 2016, I think partly just because DIA is like tired of like trying to say like there's nothing evil or there's nothing weird going on here, they actually opened up the tunnels for public tours. Like I don't know if there was enough interest from the actual public. They're like, we want to see your tunnels. So they are real tunnels. There's lots of tunnels there, but they are mostly used for like sending luggage to and fro under the airport, and they're people are driving their little luggage carts all over the place down there. And there's been plenty of people. I was watching a video on YouTube actually. This dude, he went all around. He had this nice little tour, and they weren't like trying to hide anything. Like, oh yeah, go check out this, go check out that. And he asked questions, and they were very open. And he's like, yeah, there's not really like they're just tunnels.
Right.
There might the one thing that like I
Just
kind of
tunnels.
could think maybe actually believing is that one of the theories is that there's a somewhere under there is an underground bunker for like the world's elite,
That's what I've heard.
and I think that one was kind of elevated recently because I think there were rumors that President Obama actually like got ushered into there one time when he was coming into Denver. I don't remember all the details surrounding that, but it kind of like everybody's like, oh yeah, wasn't there a bunker?
Maybe
And-
maybe the tunnels are just a giant freaking a labyrinth, and then they just take the people on the tour of like, oh, here's this really long, like huge tunnel,
yeah.
and even if somebody like goes off and tries to find that bunker, it's like, well, how do you know which way to go? You don't even know which way is north, east, and south.
Right. And let's see, there was something really interesting. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh, the other thing that was really weird. I think also, so the tunnels originally, they were trying to do this, like, I think it was supposed to be a state of the art, like, baggage system there at DIA. And that's partly why the tunnel system was, like, built. But it, like, from day one, like, never started, or never worked, I mean. And that's also partly why the airport was delayed so much in being opened.
No.
They're trying to work out all the kinks, and they never did actually. And so I think part of the tunnel system was supposed to be for that baggage system that never really worked. And then a really weird thing too is that let's see where it was. Oh, so this was just kind of a weird thing I found when doing my research for this. There were, according to this, I got this article on what's the mental floss? Is that what it is?
Is it with like the Green Brothers?
Isn't he mic'd up to himself?
No, his mic's right there.
I hope you can. Okay, where did it go?
It's like, what are they saying?
Oh, baby, I just want to feel you later. Like, this is going to be so fun.
So,
What happened?
there were like 5 original like massive buildings that were built, and apparently like it says, according to my research, it was just like built incorrectly, and instead of like tearing everything down, starting over, they managed to like bury these buildings.
What?
And people were just like, "Why are you burying buildings?" It's kind of weird. Like nobody ever does that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
So there's
New
like all
York.
sorts of these weird things that happen. The other thing, about going back to the tunnels is like, a lot of people thinks it's like this, a way to like usher in and out all these people who are connected to the New World Order.
The
And
murals, right? Oh, am I jumping?
yeah,
ahead?
well, you're getting there. Yeah, because of the murals, but for those of you maybe watching, the New World Order, I had to look it up. It was like, I hear about it, and I'm like, I'm not entirely sure what that is. It's basically just this secretive power elite with like a globalist agenda, and they're like all conspiring to
We have
eventually
a
just
common
like
theme here.
rule the world all as one authoritarian like world government.
Oh yeah.
And so they think like this tunnel system in DIA, underground in DIA, is like helping to like get people to and fro, and they might have like secretive meetings there sometimes, and I don't know.
Maybe that's where the headquarters for the QAnon.
And maybe that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
headquarters is.
And the
Full
lizard
circle.
people.
the lizard people. Nice.
The funny thing was about us, and I think I kind of mentioned it, but so DIA, they're finally just like super tired of like trying to like answer to all the conspiracy theorists out there and be like,
So they put up the giant horse and went, yes, we're creepy.
no, but they embraced the conspiracy theories, and they actually hold this like festival
seriously?
day like once a year.
Oh, it's
about
really cool.
conspiracy
Well, and they're doing a
theories.
lot of construction right now, and all of the like construction covers are saying, "Ooh, what are we doing behind here?" And it's like UFO pictures. And
They
stuff.
also have this like,
which is exactly what they would want you to think.
Yeah.
So Drew, you mentioned the art. So they actually have this
Yeah,
like
I
art
pulled this up.
museum inside DIA
Yeah.
in one of the
It
terminals,
was one of the murals.
and inside their thing, they fabricated like a generic like alien skull and like put it in there, and like have all these other goofy things in there just for fun, just to mess
Here's
with
another one of the
people.
murals.
So I kind of wanted to embrace
There's
everything.
definitely-
It looks like the Last Supper, but weird.
This one looks way more like the Last Supper. Let me put it back.
The
up.
show them the one. Can you find the one with like the Nazi looking
yeah,
soldier?
okay, here's the Nazi
So
guy.
yeah, my wife and I flew out of DIA, and before we went through TSA, we walked around and I saw that mural.
Yeah,
I was
I've seen
looking
that
at
one.
everything.
It's
I was
weird.
just like, yeah, that's
I've heard. I was reading
something
somewhere,
you read out of like Revelation.
and it's been a while since I've been to DI, and I wasn't like looking for it obviously when I was last there. I heard they took that one down.
Really?
Yeah, because like it just weirded people out way too much.
Well, it's
Why?
like a legitimate Nazi, just
So
like hanging
and
out.
Well-
the other thing I heard about, and Drew, I don't know, you can maybe do some quick research on the computer to confirm it, or maybe it's just complete BS. But in the one with the Nazi, there's like a little poem off to the side, and supposedly it was written by like a kid in Auschwitz during World War II.
Oh damn.
And I think I read that the kid like ended up dying in Auschwitz. And so it just like adds fuel to this fire. Like if there's something weird going on here with these murals. There's also
My
I
thing
kinda
is that it would happen in Colorado.
I
You know
get
what I
you
mean?
I don't know. It's only been recently that Colorado's gotten like weird. Only like in the last like
Oh well, I wouldn't know.
10
I'm
to
not
15
from here.
years. Oh, okay.
We're in Colorado?
No.
I'm trying to find that poem.
Don't
So, yeah, another weird thing about the sculptures in... Oh, two more things.
No, I found it.
Okay,
so,
Drew, go.
So here, let me put it up. I don't know if it'll show. You won't be able to see it.
Was
on
I
here.
wrong?
But no, you're right. At the
Okay.
bottom right of this image, in the bottom right corner, there's a little paper, and it says, "I once was a little child who longed for other worlds, but I am no more a child, for I have known fear and I have learned to hate. How tragic then is youth, which lives with enemies, with gallows ropes. Yet I still believe I only sleep today, that I'll wake up a child again and start to laugh and play."
I wish you had the
Yeah, but that's an Auschwitz diary. So that is from
Dude,
from an
that's
Auschwitz
like-
diary.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
That's
And it's the bottom of this
Crazy.
image. So the bottom right there. You see that little paper?
okay.
So the artist of these
Yeesh.
murals, his name is Leo. I'm going to butcher his last name. Tangamua. He has a quote trying to like kind of talk about what he was trying to depict in his murals. It says,
No
is this
kidding.
quote from the artist, I have children sleeping amid the debris of war, and this warmonger is killing the dove of peace, but the kids are dreaming of something better in the future, and their little dream goes behind the general and continues behind this group of people, and the kids are dreaming that peace will happen someday. So I don't know. The other thing is, there's a lot of, on the floor of DIA, there's these weird little codes, and like people just were like, oh, it's alien coding. Like, what the heck? It turns out it's like these little like Navajo Indian description, and like the Navajo language is written into different things.
What
on the
is, do you
floor.
know what they say?
I
Because
didn't.
Navajo's the tribe or the nation is like northern Arizona, northern New Mexico.
Right.
Not a hoe, you a hoe.
Like the
I have a
code.
picture
They
of
were the
that
ones who
too.
did like the code talkers, right? And their code, like they couldn't even. It was never broken.
Yeah, it was never
Yeah.
broken.
Yeah, there were
Wind
code
talkers.
talkers.
Yeah,
Those
Wind Talkers, sorry.
With
Yeah.
what was that movie
From
with
every-
Nicolas Cage? Wind Talkers.
Was it called Wind Talkers?
with
Code talk.
Code
was it Wind
Talkers.
Talkers or
It was
Code
Wind, I
Talkers?
think it was Wind Talkers.
Yeah, that sounds right. It was a cool movie.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy
There were
though.
Wait, that was
from
Nicolas
most
Cage?
You would've-
tribes. There
what?
were.
That was a Nicolas Cage movie.
Nicolas Cage was in
Oh,
it.
I don't remember that.
I just find it interesting, like why the Navajo? Like, because I know the Utes are.
the Utes.
Ute-
I mean,
It was
there's a lot of-
actually
Wind
quite a
Talkers.
few. It was
Wind
actually
Talkers.
quite a
Everybody-
few of
Wind
the
Talkers.
tribes that
Oh, Wind
they
Talkers.
utilized.
2002 film.
The Navajo
Fantastic.
were just the most famous.
It was really good.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Let's see. The other thing. There's two more art pieces. What's up, Drew?
I found someone that claims to be a reptilian linguist translated one of the floor things, and it connects to Ryan's
Whoa, seriously?
Oh, which only proves
Yes.
that lizard people are
Lizard people.
real.
Holy
That's
No,
totally
lizard
a
people
thing.
are part of QAnon,
right, so-
and then the DIA
so wait.
is where they're
So
hiding.
look at this. I found this image here, and it
crap.
says "zit dick guy." Ooh, that's what the image looks
Zit
like.
dick guy.
And apparently, they say that it translates to Death Master, Death Defier, I am a flyer, Paratodon, the gift of power of human sacrifice, ancestral gods of air and water.
How can
from
three
black
words
holes.
mean all that?
So they claim that some who walk among us with the outward appearance of humans are awaiting the coming of the one they call the Death Defier and the ancient Draco being, who will turn the airport into a black hole of death,
What?
beginning the great feast of humans.
Nice. That's at DIA.
What?
That one's at
D
DIA.
is death. DD. So it's
Yeah, D is death, Z is master, DD
Oh,
is
okay.
death defier.
Oh my God! Who posted this?
Wow.
That's amazing.
Oh, it's on some conspiracy file blog.
What
kind of interesting
in the
it's kind
actual
It's like-
hell?
They kind of had to make it work though.
Seriously,
Yeah, they
like
really
what
do
in the
that.
actual hell
Right.
is going
It's
on?
weird.
That is
So
hilarious.
two more
The
things,
lizard
real quick.
people are gonna eat us all.
Yeah.
Two more things. Just finish this one out.
All right, really quick.
All right, yeah.
The other thing that weirds people out when they go to DIA, as far as the artwork, is in the international baggage claim and in the domestic flights baggage claim. Somewhere in there are these weird like 3D sculptures with gargoyles like sitting in suitcases. And gargoyles are these pretty creepy little things, right? And everybody
It's
like
to keep
jumps to
birds
the
away.
conclusion, and they think that like gargoyles
From
are
your
some
luggage.
weird like demonic thing.
Yeah.
But I was reading like gargoyles were meant to be, watching over like churches and cathedrals back in the day, and so they're actually meant for like good, but people like misinterpret them. And so there's that, and then the other thing which we've probably all heard about is this giant blue horse there outside.
Yeah,
of
that
the airport
I've always questioned that. Like, what the hell is that?
on as you're driving, either to the airport or going back into the city. It's on this Pena Boulevard. And the thing that really fuels the fire on this one is the artist who was working on the sculpture. And this is true. He was working on it, and a piece of the head fell off. It's like 32 feet high and like 900 pounds or something like that, the sculpture.
Wow.
And a chunk of the head fell and like sliced the dude's leg in an artery, and the dude ended up dying. And then his, I think it was his son, finished the sculpture. And so because of the sculpture like killing the guy, there's all these weird theories about that. And so people call it Blucifer in Denver. It's regarded as Blucifer.
Lucifer.
Yeah. Instead of it's called Blue Mustang is the actual name of the sculpture, but people in Denver.
I just thought people
Lucifer.
in Denver are really passionate about the Denver Broncos.
No, and it's funny you bring that up because the first time I saw the statue, and I'm a huge
Talking about the horse?
yeah, I'm a huge Denver Bronco fan. The first time I saw the statue, the Broncos were like having a great season, and I was just like, yeah, like go Broncos. It was never intended to have anything to do with the Broncos. It just happens to have the same colors. And then at night, if you look up a picture, I see it.
Yeah, it's plain.
It has the really creepy, like red eyes. And
So
everything.
yeah,
It's, like,
my question is:
possessed.
are the red eyes necessary?
I heard.
Yes. It's one of the 4 horsemen guys. Okay, the lizard people are coming.
No, so the eyes
beast from
are
Revelation,
because
coming to eat us.
the son said that
knew it was a
the
horse?
color of the guy's eyes is his dad's favorite color, and it was like like a tribute to
Like
his
the
dad.
devil.
No, not like the devil.
Apparently.
So basically, in conclusion, like I think the DIA stuff, there's a lot of weird stuff, but like when you really break it down, there's nothing really there. It's just like,
There's an airport there. There's an airport.
Nailed it.
All right, let's put that horse up one last time.
there is an airport. There.
Creepy, man.
So that's DIA.
That's terrifying.
Lucifer.
Lucifer.
Luciferian horse.
So I'm
pretty
gonna be,
great.
I'm going to be flying to Denver here in a couple of weeks. So,
Oh, yeah? Look it up.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I'm
awesome.
going to drive by. And
You
be
should
like,
go see if you can find any of these things.
Yeah. Well, if I come back.
Are you doing baggage?
No.
Oh, good. If you
Smart.
come
I should
back,
hide
is that
his
what you just
baggage
said?
cheaper.
Like, if I come back,
Just like a gargoyle.
Just like a gargoyle.
yeah,
Cool.
that'd be funny.
All right, we're gonna put Steven on next, but the camera that films us died. So let me.
Oh, so am I on right? or-
You're on right now.
Okay, so
Nope. It's
we're taking
we're
a break right now, and here's a moment, or here's a word from our sponsors.
Coming to you live, we're represented by Toast.
Toast.
Oh, stop copying. We already copied Steven Crowder.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, we have to inform you that this skit has already been chosen from somebody else.
Okay.
Should we-
Drink some chocolate milk stout beer.
Yeah, actually,
From,
like,
what
hey,
is this?
Odd 13.
ODD, Odd 13 Brewing.
Yeah, like,
All right,
Represent
I'm gonna
us.
head
Sponsor us,
Steven,
right here.
and Steven is going.
your beer is
now.
wonderful.
Yay, okay.
Yeah.
We're back from commercial.
I'm not ready. So first, I want to go to. This is gonna be weird. Hey. So we have a. There's a.
moving
Sorry.
around.
There's a. Someone had a thing to the fluoride.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard for me to read.
Ah,
it and
I gotcha.
also be there.
Just talk about your theory. We'll come back to it.
Well, I just thought that was funny.
Wait, no, wait. Talk about that.
Well, because
Just grab the microphone and move it.
okay. So he said,
Someone's in the airport.
I did. Oops. Fluoride in the water supply. Okay. It would be to control the people to fall in line with political agenda, kind of like a MK Ultra. If anyone knows what that means.
Oh,
Sure do.
Do you really?
I know
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah,
Oh.
MK Ultra was like it was this conspiracy like in the 60s, right?
Sure.
That
yeah, with the CIA.
Didn't that actually
government-
happen though?
yeah, kind of. Like they tested a bunch of drugs on people. Like that's definitely something that
they
actually happened.
tested.
but-
The CIA tested LSD on people.
Yeah, they
didn't
were-
tell them what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
especially like
You were gonna talk
they
about
were
that, weren't
especially
you?
interested in
No.
LSD because of
I thought you were going to talk
like
about
mind controlling properties. So yeah, but
Who was talking about? I swear we just talked about this with your brother. We were talking about
Oh,
the,
maybe that.
Yeah.
We were talking about the JFK conspiracy.
Yeah.
with my brother. Not the MK.
What the hell is
What,
this?
what is happening?
Thank you, Gina.
It's popcorn, dude.
It's only for
Okay.
Gina.
So what? Okay. So
Why are we eating on it?
yeah, what is happening here?
It's very rude to eat in front of
is
people.
we're-
Our whole audience is sitting there without popcorn.
Yeah, our 3 people are going to be so
their
hungry.
fault.
That's
their
disgusting.
fault.
That's been sweaty.
All right,
Your brain, not that.
Steven, what do you have
non-existent
for us?
hat.
Okay, what's your theory?
So mine actually is great because it brings everybody's together, and
Ooh.
the government is all in on something, and it's Avril Lavigne is a body double. I'm just kidding, but that's actually a theory.
Oh my God! Really? Seriously? That's actually
okay,
That's
so
a
real
name I haven't
quick.
heard in a
So
long
Avril Lavigne,
Is it about a skater
Dis-
boy?
she was a skater boy. So she disappeared for a little while and then came back, and all of a sudden, there was little differences to her face, and her voice changed a little bit. And I heard about this from my ex, and it's a real conspiracy. Look into it. I'm not going to go into it anymore, except for
I thought you were talking flat Earth.
I was. That was my joke into it.
Okay, good.
So, but mine's flat Earth.
Logo is-
I just
that's
thought,
conspiracy.
whoa. I just thought it was funny to bring up Avril Lavigne because
She was a skater boy.
she was a skater boy.
She said, "See you later, boy."
yes. And hey,
He wasn't good
you,
enough for her.
I want to be your girlfriend.
But your actual
No way.
But my actual
No way.
conspiracy, no way. I think you need a new one. Is that what you said? So mine is actually flat Earth, and I did no research. So if everybody knows flat Earth, it's really hard to look it up right now because YouTube has gone around and started to delete videos, which actually I think does not help to the case of.
Okay, so Drew is taking drink orders.
I'm really pissed off at you right now.
Hey, do you have any more of the light beers? No. Okay, never mind.
Okay, but
Sorry,
so
go ahead.
YouTube, so it's really hard to look it up. You have to. There's a guy I can't remember his name. It's like Rick or
I'll
something.
hold it.
I had to look into him.
Oh my God, Morty. Oh, I'm dying, Morty. Go ahead. Sorry.
Rick. So, anyways, there's this guy. So the interesting thing about this is everyone kind of thinks that everyone believed in flat Earth up until recently, and then it was global,
Not
like turned into a globe. Well, actually, Plato in I think 300 or 400 BC had already established that the Earth was round. But there are a lot of actual famous people. Homer wrote about a disc.
So you're telling me that
The
a
Simpsons?
gooey play substance for kids and a cartoon husband on television
Yeah.
already figured out the whole...
I'm just concerned that you're continually squeezing something.
Well, Play-Doh, you know.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but so which already got debunked, but so everyone kind of was like, well, they set sail on the ocean blue to find the ends of the earth, and that's not actually what it was about, but it's somehow turned into this, and so it's kind of weird because it's not only is it for some it's not an actual religious belief to it, it's actually just a government conspiracy belief, so that they don't even take the religious part into it, but then a lot of them do actually take the religious tone to it.
Didn't a bunch of like celebrities like Donald Glover and like
There's a
Kanye-
few. There was a basketball player, I think.
There's a couple.
Was
football
it
players,
Kyle
I think.
Irving?
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving was
Yeah.
a big one.
Who's
Oh.
the football player? I forget the football player. Go ahead.
Jumps
Keep
right
going.
I don't remember, but there's a bunch of celebrities going, we're into the flat Earth, and there's no proof of us going into space. Space isn't real. So if anyone doesn't know, so the idea is that the Earth is flat. Can you look up the flat Earth map to kind of explain this? And so the way it is explained is, and especially if you get into a religious tone, when they explain the Earth in some Bible verses, they say the land sits above the sea. So when people took that as literal, what they meant was the sea is below the land, and then you have the sky and the heavens above, and there's nothing else there. And their theory is the stars and the sun and the moon are all kind of projections
Which one is it?
on this dome. And so what they think is some of the stars don't move. So I guess, and I didn't know this, but supposedly back in the day, the Jews, because we're going to bring it around to Jews,
Always, dude.
always to the
Always,
Jews.
dude.
Well, the Jews believed that the stars that the stars didn't move. They were always the same, except for some, and that was in their mind, the gods or God moving, and angels and demons moving around. And
here's an A map. I don't know if it's the map you're thinking of, but
it is not.
oh, okay. Well,
So that was wrong.
like you said, hard to find,
That
dude.
one. Nope.
That one. That one.
That's it. So, what they believe is, so we'll pop this picture up, but the Earth, everything's kind of projected on top of this dome, and there's nothing else. Which that's where I get confused. I mean, besides everything apart about this, but supposedly, where was I at? I don't remember. I'm kind of hoping for this picture to pop up because it helps explain it a little more. So, when you look at a globe, you see that Antarctica is at the bottom and North Pole's at top. You know, just typical north, east, south, west, whatever. But for them, Antarctica, it's not going to load. So Antarctica actually surrounds the planet.
Right.
And it connects. So if you ever tried to set sail to the edge, you would actually hit Antarctica. And they say there's people with guns to turn you around. The lizard people.
The lizard people with guns.
So that you don't see it. And so so that surrounds, and then the North Pole is actually in the center of the Earth. And so everybody, they have their spirit levels that they take on planes, because they think when you're in a plane and you're flying, if it's a sphere, the pilot would be constantly trying to dip the nose to stay level with the Earth, because, you know, the ground is it's flat. So technically, if the plane never is always level, then they're never trying to dip down to go around the curvature, not understanding physics and the size of gravity, but the size of a plane in comparison to the Earth is like not even an ant. So to us, so it's like there's no way that it's just stupid. But they're convincing me slowly. And they also believe in... so this is the religious aspect of it. So they believe the Earth is... Some people believe the Earth is 6,000 years old. So that kind of falls in line with
Earth,
this.
New Earth is an interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, but so they kind of believe this. They're very literal on their Bible translations. It's just interesting sometimes on the Bible verses they choose, because there is one verse that they kept throwing out from Job. I think it's 26 or 24, where Job says that the earth is hanging in nothing, and then but their rebuke is every other verse about the earth is on a pillar, like God set the earth on pillars or something like that. So
isn't there a picture of like a tortoise like flying through space?
See, I thought so, but that also might
Earth
just
on
be
its back.
It.
Oh. Or Atlas, the guy.
Or
that's
Atlas.
like-
Well, and they reference Atlas a lot because a lot of people believe, you know, they believe that back then they didn't believe the world was.
I mean, it sounds like
Flat.
a Native American myth that I heard all the time, because living in Laramie, I was right next to Vidavoo. And they believed that the giant rock was a giant turtle that, you know, was like one of the beings that would hold up the earth.
There's
Mhm.
also the
On its
Hindu
back.
belief.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what it's from.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like a really
Awkward
common
turtle.
thing.
Awkward turtle.
It is kind of awkward, but, you know.
But yeah, so they believe that. So that's there's the religious aspects to it where they take everything literal, or at least their translation of it, and that explains, you know, they described. So I don't know the Bible enough to just pinpoint things that make my point relevant. But yeah, it's always like the earth was put on a foundation to be stable. And why would the earth need a foundation if it's round? Because it's flat. It needs pillars to
I'm
stand
convinced.
on. I'm convinced too. So dinosaurs, they believe dinosaurs don't exist. They believe that dinosaurs were some of them. I don't know if it's all of them. Well, if they're the 6,000-year-old ones, they don't believe dinosaurs
They're, like, put
exist.
there to trick us.
God put dinosaurs in the bones in the ground to trick us, because you know God is deceiving like that. But so there's that. But then my
What
favorite
a
was
cheeky bugger.
But I don't understand why can't a flat Earth have dinosaurs? That makes no sense to me.
well,
What's
it's the
connection?
age of the Earth. That's the problem.
Oh.
It's not necessarily the flat. It's
Okay.
the age. It's just those kind of go hand in hand.
The idea of like the Earth is, there has to be so much time that goes by because like no one's sitting there with a pail of sand ready to dump it on top of a dead dinosaur. It has to take time for like that to be covered by dirt. Or,
Yeah, and only God can do that.
Yeah.
Andrew.
God just walks around with a big giant pail of sand.
So as we eat our popcorn, so now the fun part is bringing all of these conspiracy theories together here. So what they believe is in at least the 1950s, which try to convince me to understand why it's so wrong to have a round Earth. But they believe that in the 1950s, when they were starting their NASA program, they were trying to hide the fact that we live on a flat Earth. They didn't want people to know that the Earth was flat. So they were trying to convince the world that the Earth is round. Why? Lizard people. Not really. I don't know if that actually goes in, but it kind of makes sense that would go in with it. Because what's the point of hiding?
They are real.
They are real. So what's the point of hiding that we don't live on a ball?
Why'd they
We
make flat. Like,
like
why don't
we
they make
live on
it
a flat Earth.
Why couldn't there be a trapezoid?
Trapezoid
it's-
Earth. Or,
because, I don't know. Well, because they're referencing the Bible, which always I don't know. But
What if we live on a giant halo ring?
that would be awesome. Where's the flood? But so they believe, and I don't know if this is factual, but they believe NASA was created to deceive us, to trick us into space, and that we can go voyage outside of that for some reason. And which is why I think maybe this is wrong. I didn't go too far into this, so this is just my own conspiracy theory of their conspiracy theory is they killed JFK because he was going to come out and tell
What?
that the Earth was flat.
What? Oh my
And
gosh.
then they started raping kids because QAnon. I'm glad I didn't have my mic on when I said that.
But it all comes around because it's all about this government
Parts of it.
conspiracy of things. Of the government is hiding something from us, and it's like this, like the bank. There's something about
Somehow
the
the
government
money,
is hiding.
the
yeah.
money is wrapped into it.
And
all.
so it all kind of results back to the same
always
thing.
the government.
It's this
and then,
government's
and then
hiding
you got,
something.
and then you got like Elon Musk going on like Joe Rogan's podcast, like take the red pill.
So, but yeah, so that's kind of my theory of
That's
Yes.
actually a good point, though. Like,
it all revolves around one solid thing.
well, that's a major proponent of like actual conspiracy theories for the people who look into conspiracy theories and have them, like archived to a definition. They say that it needs some overlying source, like some incredible power that's creating this situation, that's in charge of keeping it secret and happening, like that it's happening. Golly.
I just came up with something. Have you guys ever heard of the Pixar theory?
What?
The
But they're all related.
Yeah, basically
Yeah.
like every Pixar film.
That's not a theory anymore. They actually came out and said it's all true.
Okay. So like if you don't, well, before they came out and said it was all true.
True.
Every Pixar film from like Toy Story to Monsters Inc. to Cars to everything else, all those different movies in some way, shape, or form are connected together.
Mm-hmm.
So what if it's Pixar trying to tell us something?
Lizard people.
Lizard people.
The world is flat.
What if it's just people being creative?
Watch your children.
So that kind of leads us into the second part of the conversation. Obviously, conspiracy theories
Finally.
are rampant. Rampant maybe is too loaded of a word, but they're around. There are people who believe these things. I know people who believe some of these things, and there is an appeal to it. We kind of talked about that just now, that there's something about blame shifting these world problems onto a singular source that's behind some sort of evil movie master plan that speaks to our human psyche, I think. What do you guys think about that? Why is it that we as humans are so... Because even if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, we start talking about these and it's fun to put on the hats and go, ooh, look at that picture. Like, what if it was true? It would be creepy.
What hat?
What about us... Oh, you're right.
What? Damn it, Drew.
I'm the one who broke the conspiracy. The hats weren't there, but Drew photoshopped them in.
He took the red pill.
Right.
It's a simulation.
It's a silly. What is it about our humanity that, for some people, leads them to believe in these things, but for all of us, they're at least curious or fun to talk about, or like almost like ominous? You know, we're like, oh, we get that. Like it's like watching a scary movie. You know, you're like, ooh, that's interesting. You know, it like makes your spine shiver, and you get really curious really quick.
I don't know. I think part of it is just realizing that the world is bigger than ourselves, and that there's all these things that we don't control. And I feel like as humans, we generally gravitate toward, or like basically as a coping mechanism, we do things or believe in things that helps us grasp something we don't understand. So like when when coronavirus hit and everyone started freaking out, and everyone was basically at a dead hold stop, what did people do? They just started buying toilet paper like it was going out of style. And so
I've already ran out of mine.
Right. The ones that you bought.
Because it was out. That's just,
No.
Yeah.
The ones that you bought like 12 months ago. But
Bought a
no,
lot.
so some
to the bathroom
psychologists came out and said like, oh yeah, this is a normal thing. When people cannot, like, if they're in a situation where they do not have control, then they do something that helps, like they basically it's a coping mechanism for them to control something. So that's where like the panic buy of toilet paper comes into play. So when you have this whole pandemic and you have the whole economy being shut down, and then everyone's stuck at home twiddling their thumbs, and they have rent to pay, and they don't, basically it's like the doom of the American empire, the doom of society. Basically they do what people have done since the 70s. And even Johnny Carson, you can find a video of him on his talk show late at night going, everyone's freaking out about this gas stuff. You know what people are doing? They're buying toilet paper. Like, why does that make any sense? And so that's just like, I think with the conspiracy theories, with all this craziness that's going on, with all the, the things that we do and we don't know, and like what it appears to be, but what we don't understand. I think it's like a coping mechanism to help us like grasp everything that's happening around us.
Well, so I think that, and I feel like for a lot of people, it can never just be the easy answer. Like it's all like there has to be something else. It can't just be so simple. My favorite, I hear it all the time from somebody on YouTube, but they make fun of Don Lemon on CNN when the airline went missing, the Malaysian airline. And that turned into a huge conspiracy theory that there wasn't even a plane. Like, the crash never happened. And so that itself became, and it was like, people just wanted to jump in to be a part, like, oh, I don't believe in. And what was funny, the reason to make fun of Don Lemon is he goes, I don't know why, but he threw out the, could a black hole swallow a plane? And the person on the line or whatever with him goes, a small black hole could swallow the entire universe. And it's like, what? What does that have to do with anything? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
but like you just added fuel to like the stupidity of it. Like to now everyone goes, oh, black holes, oh, they exist on Earth now, but a small one could eat the entire universe. So that means that plane just disappeared.
Some scientists think that the whole phenomenon of astronomical movements that cause the conspiracy of Planet 9 are actually caused by a softball-sized black hole way outside of our solar system.
Yeah. You mean Planet 10.
Oh, Planet 10.
Yeah, because
Sorry.
Pluto's still a planet.
So I just want to come out
Yeah.
on public
Thanks,
record
Jerry.
and say,
Thanks, Jerry.
for the sake that my wife went to Northern Arizona University for college, I am pro Pluto.
Lumberjack.
So wait, they really think that there's a
Yep.
planet hidden behind a black hole?
So for a long time, people have thinking, no, they thought that, they thought there was Planet 10, and it was this weird, and there's all these, that's another conspiracy theories, Nibiru. And they think it's like this Egyptian god planet, some weird thing. What? There's all these conspiracies about it being an alien spaceship or whatever. But they thought there was this planet with this weird elliptical orbit that like passed our solar system because it causes weird movements on the outer rims of our solar system. And scientists have attested to some of these movements, but not to the fact that there's a planet, because you can't see it. So all the conspiracy theorists are like, oh, that's why it's Nibiru, it's Planet X, it's going to cause doomsday to the death of us all. And now scientists are like, well, we've been discovering that there's a possibility that there could be softball-sized black holes that cause gravitational weirdness, and it could be small enough to where the black hole itself is orbiting around.
So like black holes are like this giant. Like when you think of a black hole, you're thinking of like a black hole the size of the sun. But then it's just interesting to think about something that's the size of like a softball
Or smaller.
or even smaller,
Could be like
and
a
you're
golf
approaching that event horizon. And the theory is that like
Great movie.
you get into the black hole and it starts warping time and everything. I just like kind of sit there and wonder. It's like.
See, that one could be fun, because you might be able to dip your toe in it without getting sucked all the way in.
Well,
Not really. You'd get destroyed.
Oh yeah,
but
like-
okay, but okay, and this is where my lack of science comes in. Is there any actual proof of what black holes do?
Yes.
There's video there. So we
They've taken a
just
picture of a black
we
hole.
just got a picture of a black
But that
hole. a
doesn't
while ago.
actually explain what a black hole can and
Yeah,
can
that's all theory, I
do.
think.
Right. I know.
Well, it kind of goes back to whether,
Let me see.
oh gosh, why is his name escaping me? It shouldn't be.
Leonard Nimoy.
Yes,
Einstein.
thank you. Einstein.
long
Thank
and
you.
prosper.
Good lord. Why would his name escape me? It goes back to whether Einstein was correct or Tesla was correct. Like, because Einstein's even quoted as saying, if Tesla was correct, then we have no idea what we're going through. Like, what the universe is. We're building off of something completely needless and mindless.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're building off of a set of physics that take Einstein into consideration, saying that, theory of relativity comes into play, and gravity is affected by, or gravity affects a lot of things, including time. And
I'm
that...
putting up that picture of the black hole here in a second.
Oh, nice.
And it's like the worst, like most blurred out picture. It's like,
It's like
what-
a
was
picture
this
of
taken by
Bigfoot.
like an iPhone 1?
Is there a blurry image of Bigfoot in there?
Yeah, right.
Probably.
No, but there's the
This is
lizard
the
people.
first picture ever of a black hole. This is an actual image that
It's
they
not even
captured.
black.
Can I see?
Yeah,
It's
and
like
So
Sauron's
the
eye.
center there is the actual black hole.
Yeah.
What's crazy is this actually confirmed that all of our models of a black hole
We're wrong.
We're correct.
No, we're
No,
correct.
we're correct.
That's just,
Outrageously correct.
We're like ridiculously close.
No, that's
why
Sauron's
the picture
eye
was not
more
that
than-
spectacular is because everybody's like, well, yeah, that's what a black hole looks like. It's like, well, this is the first actual
Right.
black hole, but
What was the Christopher Nolan movie?
Interstellar.
Interstellar. That was pretty
That
good.
was
That black
really interesting.
hole
I never saw it.
is a
Don't
CGI
bother.
version.
I'm stupid.
Here, let me pull this
That
image
sounds
up now.
interesting.
I like
Because the guys that directed that movie was really into the science of black holes, and they were saying that the depiction of that black hole being this like weird little CGI sphere in the middle of space, and just how like just light and time and everything went into it was like supposedly it's really accurate. It kind of blew my own mind.
Right.
away.
Well, here, so I have that image up of the actual picture of the black hole
Oh, let
with
me see.
really crude technology, and then here's Interstellar's version. So here's what Interstellar's CGI was based on. Is this model here?
Okay.
Here was our image.
Wow.
Again, we're thousands of millions of light years away with crude technology capturing this, and what you're seeing is the event horizon. This is what we projected it to look like based on physics. Same colors, and I mean, we were right. It was incredible.
We're pretty close.
They're not
Anyway.
close at all.
But yeah,
But you have to understand that this picture that we of this CGI thing
Uh-huh.
is what it would look like if you were close to it.
You think?
Oh, I see.
This is
That's
an
what you-
actual
yeah, that's
photo
what
we
we
took with
think.
telescopes from so far away that it's incredible that we could even capture that.
No, that was pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
that picture a lot.
Yeah.
I was gonna go back to like what is it that draws people to conspiracy theories? And
Thank you.
Daniel,
Yeah.
you like
Life's
touched on it.
boring.
I think it's like a little bit of people trying to have their own explanation of the unknown. Like every now and again, you're just like, what? That doesn't make sense. And so you kind of make, because of what you're saying, is people like to have control, like to be in control. But and the other thing, I mean, there's other cases where like if it gets back to like government stuff, I mean, there's been plenty of times definitely where the government has lost the trust of for the people, and it's like so. for example, I guess JFK, like that, the government ties to all that. And you're like, there's something there that just, a lot of them spawn from like something about this does not make sense. What is missing? And you kind of go off from there.
Even if it makes sense, though, they find some way to make it not make sense.
Yeah, there are some.
Like sometimes it doesn't.
I wonder if a lot of these conspiracy theories, like how many of them have popped up just over the last, like, 20 years or so as the internet's become bigger.
Well,
and
Flat
bigger.
Earth,
Like,
that was actually the internet brought that one back.
Right,
yeah, so like how many of these would we not know? Like I'm guessing lizard people probably would not exist if it wasn't for the internet.
No, we always had the National Enquirer. And I'm pretty sure that's where all conspiracy theories come from before
There's
the
a lot
internet.
of them, like Drew was saying in the beginning, there are a lot that you're like, there is some truth there. But then you're like, Flat Earth,
The
lizard
Natural
people,
Enquirer, is that like one of those like fake story tabloid
National
things you
Right.
see in the
Yeah.
grocery store? Okay.
Exactly.
So they're the ones that like they would have like a picture of the queen with a lizard
Right.
head.
Yeah.
They would
Right.
totally
Like
do that.
the truth finally comes
think-
out.
And then there's Babylon Bee.
And then, yeah.
Well, I think a lot of them are fun though. I mean, I think
Well, and
there's
that's
a lot
what
of-
I feel like they were originally
They're
intended
interesting.
for was like we're gonna write something.
I'm just feeling like
stupid.
there's some guy
No,
on
I'm just
4chan
meaning,
just making
like,
fun of all
conspiracy
these
theories.
idiots. that
Oh yeah,
believe in
no,
this.
yeah.
A lot of them are really interesting. Like my whole take on like aliens or Bigfoot, or a lot of them are like, I don't really care if Bigfoot or aliens exist. I think that'd be really cool. It's like, I don't know, I could take it or leave it. So that's and I think like if you come at it from a perspective where you're not gonna get like sucked in, all of a sudden be like, yeah, like you get like your eyes glazed over and like just drink the Kool-Aid. Like there's a lot of cool and interesting theories out there that's just kind of fun to think about.
Right.
Absolutely.
I think that's why the common man has like an appeal to conspiracy theories, right? Because they're just interesting, and I think what it does is I think our minds naturally like to make patterns and organize things, and if there's a chaotic situation, we like to organize it so it's not chaotic and it's dissectable, and that's a reasonable thing to do in most circumstances. I think conspiracy theories are kind of what happens when that desire to, almost in an OCD like way, make organization and meaning out of something that doesn't make sense and isn't easily processed overrides being rational and actually assuming the evidence. And it's interesting to me that like a lot of them will get so focused on the pattern itself and not as into the plausible connection that would make the pattern actually work.
You know what pattern we should be talking about? It's the theory that like you start on any page, any kind of subject on Wikipedia, and somehow, some way, you'll work back to Hitler.
That's a really fun game to play when you're bored in class.
6
did
degrees
that.
to Hitler.
Yeah. It's very few. It's a lot less than you'd think. If you get really good at it, you can do it in like 5 or 6 almost each time.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
That's one pattern I came to mind.
All right. We're at an hour 45.
Wow.
Last thoughts on conspiracy theories.
Oh, wow. Well, I've got a few.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. I mean, I think it's an interesting phenomena that we do cling to. You guys actually covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about, that it's this thing that we grasp onto when we don't have a sense of control. Like, there have been a lot of researchers, prominent figures, who say that the people who tend to cling to conspiracy theories the most heartily are those who experience a sense of powerlessness and uncertainty. So it's us trying to make sense of a world that is chaotic and out of our grasp. So that definitely makes sense. But it also came to light that a lot of these subjects we just wouldn't talk about unless it was something fantastical. Like, we tend to assume that since a situation is fantastical, that it deserves a fantastical explanation. And so we tend to go into that realm. We tend to explore that to have some mode of conversation with something that we otherwise wouldn't talk about. And then there are also conspiracy theories that are, actually real, things that have actually come into play. And I heard somebody describe it as a prudent paranoia, like just that sometimes it's actually worthwhile exploring these things. And these are just bullet points, but there's a lot of psychology that goes behind conspiracy theories, and there are definite reasons why we cling to them, why we're interested in them. But I think it is definitely important to recognize, like, are we just trying to latch onto some explanation, or are we going to be okay with a situation that's more complicated than we can comprehend and that does not have an easy fix, that does not have a definite villain that we can point to and say, this is the one that needs to be slain, how can we get rid of them? But we need to participate in something that may take a lifetime to affect even a little bit. We have to be realistic about the situation rather than apply some fantastical outline to something that makes us nervous.
Yeah, makes sense.
Cool.
I think my thing would be just to, I don't know, kind of like what you were talking about. Just, I don't know. For me, it's so fun. It's kind of fun and it's kind of easy to get warped into all these kind of crazy conspiracy stuff. And I think what's hard for somebody that's coming from the Christian faith is like, okay, we understand that we are flawed human beings. You look through the Old Testament and all the crazy, horrible things that mankind has done to each other, like child sacrifices, and like there's parts of the Old Testament where it talks about like they would sacrifice like babies to Baal and like all these horrible things. And so, like knowing humanity's track record with sin, I think it's really easy to get caught up in that. And so I think the biggest thing to remember, for me at least, it's like, okay, like there may be some truth to a lot of what we're talking about to some extent, whether it's, I'm not saying that I believe in lizard people, but just getting down to the.
No, they're real.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
That's going to be the meme for like now on for the rest of the show. Real. No, I just think that like, I think part of what, let God be God, let him control the thing, let him control the universe. We're just in it for the ride. And I think just looking at myself, I think, okay, it's so easy for me to want to white knuckle everything and be in control and feel like I'm in control. But I think the whole point of my walk with God is just to let go and relinquish control and let God be God and do his thing. And even though there's like all this crazy crap in the world, it's like, okay, that doesn't mean that I should be sitting idly behind a computer screen on 4chan coming up with all the kind of crazy lizard people crap. They are real. But I think it's just good to keep things in perspective and, just really remember what you want. Like, it's not about you. It's not about.
I'm a snake.
What?
How did we not talk about this at all?
I'm so funny.
I'm sorry.
What?
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, I can't play videos, otherwise I will. We'll show you after. There's a video.
Okay. Anyway, that's my final thoughts. I put my faith in God, and I'm sure he takes care of everything, and we'll find out if there's a big Satan worshiping child's rape sacrifice cult thing
On the flat earth.
Flat Earth,
Flat Earth.
controlled by lizard people, funneling money through central
One
banks.
bank, one
Central
government.
bank.
And it all
And
leads
Denver
back to DIA.
International.
Denver
Oh, wow. All right, Andrew,
Did
last thoughts.
it.
That's where they traffic all the children as DIA under their
I don't have any
sex
last
tunnels.
thoughts. I mean, I think it's interesting to look into different things. Keep asking questions and don't drink Kool-Aid, I guess. Like, be inquisitive, but don't be stupid
What
about
about
it.
hot Kool-Aid?
Not hot, definitely not hot Kool-Aid.
It's a reference to it. Never mind.
I've seen
Okay.
Okay.
that. No.
Steven. Were you done?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
We want to interrupt
I don't
you.
like hot Kool-Aid.
Okay.
We want to make sure we interrupt you, Andrew.
Because lizard people are real.
It's always interrupt me. Wait, what?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm not allowed to go last. I think you should smoke a lot of pot, take a lot of LSD, get on the
Drew,
get on the internet and go downtown, research,
Put the camera on me.
find it out.
Put the camera on me. Is the camera on me?
Camera's on you.
Okay. We do not condone doing any kind of illegal drugs. We don't do any of that crap, even though we live in Colorado. That's just a stereotype.
EMT.
His last name is Coke.
Even though his last name's Coker. Just making that perfectly clear.
Just saying, if you want it to be interesting.
So, okay, so
right.
research the crap.
We need to mute his mic. We need that button now.
Oh,
Need
his
like
mic has
a
been off the
silent.
Yes. Sorry.
Well, we're not going to make any money. It's gold over here.
The mic or you?
Both.
No,
Final thought. It's okay with simple answers. It doesn't have to be something so outrageous to like give yourself clout. And I feel like a lot of people, I feel like actually that's where they think they're gonna get their like popularity or like people to follow them is look what I'm saying, and like that's where I'm gonna get a lot of following. And that's where, you know, with the flat earth there's a lot of people that gained a lot of momentum from it, and like and they probably made a lot of money because of it. So it's like
their bank accounts are round.
Yeah, round, but the earth is flat. But yeah, so it's like don't just jump into these things, because a lot of them are, you know, they're just cash grabs for some people, and for some people it is their moment to shine that they didn't get when, I don't know why they needed that notoriety.
Imagine if, like in the Book of Revelations, it talks about how like
Always last.
if everyone knew when Jesus would come back, or when the end of our earth would be, or when the end of time is going to be, like how much money people would make off of that.
Well, how many people
They're
lost
still making money off.
Well,
of
how
it.
many people lost their livelihoods because of it,
Yeah.
and they just blindly follow?
Because of lizard people.
Crab people.
Every time I say that, guys, you know, I'm throwing that graphic up of the- This has been up so many times. We're probably gonna get sued for copyright.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Cool.
Jokes on them. We don't make money.
That's my real last thought.
That's his.
But do LSD and pot.
All right.
All right.
My-
Save us.
I have a couple things. So my thing is this: the amount of evidence it would require to have a justified, true belief of pretty much any of the theories we talked about tonight is beyond what most people are even in a position to acquire. Now, that being said, is there sketchy stuff that's happened in the past that turned out to be true? Yes. Do you have reasons to be skeptical of some of the things that go on in our world and be a little bit conspiratorial? Sometimes, sure. But here's the thing. I would almost like to take a version of Pascal's wager and apply it to conspiracy theories. I would rather live in the midst of lizard people and just not know about it and live my life happily and righteously and die never knowing than spend so much of my energy being consumed with the anxiety of trying to prove it that I ruin the opportunities I actually do have. And I think that's what it comes down to for me is I don't think anyone has any doubt that politicians are corrupt and sketchy stuff happens in the government and people are evil and sex trafficking is real. And there's probably some things that the government knows as far as technology that they're not telling us. But if we spend every waking moment of our lives being consumed with trying to figure that out, when none of us that are pushing these things are in a position to accurately obtain that information, we're wasting the opportunity to live a dutiful and good life that we actually have. And I'd rather capitalize on the opportunities I do have than try to dig my way into some classified hole that I don't ever have a chance of uncovering. And even if you do, you look like a crazy asshole. So here's what I'd like to propose. If you believe in your conspiracy theory or conspiracy theories in general, leave your hat on. But for me, I'm taking my hat off.
What?
Steven?
If I believe in mine?
Yeah.
God damn it, but I don't want to lose my balls.
So you can put your hat on your crotch.
Wow.
Oh my god. Okay. We need the
So
look.
much
Andrew.
easier to see with that.
All right, Andrew's out. Ryan. Can't really see it, but sure. And Daniel.
But mine has public record to it. It's true, and I work in the industry. I'm just taking this off because it's freaking hot.
All right, so you believe in your conspiracy theory because it's real, but not ours because ours are all crazy.
I know.
Crazy, crazy.
All right, guys, that is it. We talked about some crazy conspiracy theories today. We talked about banks, which actually there was some pretty decent evidence there. We talked about lizard people with Ryan over there, and we determined that they are real. I'm just kidding. They are absolutely not real. There's no evidence for it. We talked about Denver International Airport, perhaps a hub of neo-Nazi New World Order, and or child trafficking or lizard people. Who knows?
Demon horses,
Demon
for sure.
horses, yeah. We talked about the Earth being flat, which is again
Duh.
about lizard people, and then we talked
It all
about
comes back to the lizard
It,
people.
it always is about the lizard people.
Lizard people are the Jewish race.
And then started off talking about QAnon, which is an actual live unfolding conspiracy theory. And who knows? Maybe it's true. Maybe lizard people are real. Or maybe there's something about being human where we so like to make connections that aren't there that we lose our rationality. I think we here at Guydeas would choose rationality over emotion.
Indeed.
As
Agreed.
hard as it can be. Here's the thing. It's really easy to emotionally react to things. It's really easy to make false connections and use our bias to inform the narrative of the world around us. But you know what's difficult and therefore so much more worth it is actually trying to pursue a logic beyond our own fixed, finite position of rationality. And so with conspiracy theories, that's, I think, the stance that we take.
I was just trying to get your hands.
Let's just.
All right, so from all of this,
I'm gonna love
So you can
rewatching this.
you can take the tinfoil hats off.
Okay,
my
everyone
balls.
throw their tinfoil hats at Steven.
All right. Oh my gosh, that was great. Awesome.